Coming up on Almost Adults.
We did a show that had puppets, and they were the most atrocious things I'd ever seen. My first puppet was Midna from Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess. So I feel like people are turning to puppetry and puppets because they're such a non-threatening voice for people.
I adore bad movies, all sorts of cult classics, and I'm always trying to educate people on cult film. And so I'm like, you know what, we should just do this as a YouTube channel. And she's like, I'm in for that, let's get drunk.
Oh, my friend Gage is gonna talk to you. Oh, and John Claude, he'll be there, oh, too. Even though they're not close together, they're far away. There, one's in Tampa, the other one's in LA. Oh, Gage, what's the show called again?
Fucking, it's Almost Adults. Shit.
Almost adult. Shit.
Okay, I'm successfully in the closet.
Oh, there he is.
We hear your
Wow,
voice
hey,
in
bro.
our ears.
Hey, bro. What's up?
Wow, he sounds just as good like in person.
Yeah. I've never met Jean-Claude in person.
No.
Florida.
One day, Jean-Claude.
One day.
Probably 3/4
One
of the
day.
people on this podcast have never met John Claude in person.
Probably true.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Almost Adults. I am here with Jean-Claude Gage, the most handsomest of hosts.
Yes, great. Thank you for having me on. It is a great pleasure to be here. I assume you're going for an Indian accent at first?
Yes, we are alienating about a third of our audience with these accents.
You're alienating a lot more people because now you're just rubbing it into the ground.
I'm sorry.
Work at IKEA.
Full disclosure. Whoa. I don't know if you heard that, but Stacy just said, do you work at IKEA?
That's way too on point.
Do a lot of Indians work at IKEA?
Do they?
Swedish ones.
I've never seen one.
Oh. Yeah, your voice
Was
did
like
get a
a
little bit
unicorn?
Swedish there.
Yes,
See?
I'm sorry. The reason I sound so gravelly and sexy is because I'm sick.
Sick. Awesome, bro.
I'm literally sick on this mic. Anyways,
Anyways, we have two guests on our podcast today.
two new guests.
Two new guests.
We have Stacey Krakus,
Krakus.
whom I know the name of, and she's my good friend.
Yes.
And I have Rachel Burson, who's also my good friend.
Hello.
And I actually met them both at a concert.
Yeah, it was the best.
It was the best.
Yes.
I met Stacy in one in 2015.
Yep.
And that's actually the first time I met Michael. And then about a year later, at the same venue, I went with Stacy again, and we met Rachel this time.
I forced my way to the front and acted like I was friends with them. And now we're actually friends.
Yeah.
Now we're friends, 5 real.
Our lie became the truth.
That's so true.
That's very true. That's very true.
It's the best way to get through a crowd at a concert.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
You act like you know somebody.
Have you ever had any friendships develop like that, John Claude, where you ever had like a friend or like a random person that you're like, I'm going to talk to you now, and then you actually develop some sort of friendship with them?
Yeah, I mean,
Or is that how like friendships work?
that is, I mean, that's
Sounds
pretty much
typical.
inherently how friendships works for the most part.
Oh, okay.
Unless it's a friend of a friend kind of deal, but new friendships, yeah. I did that a lot during Busch Gardens, working at Busch Gardens and stuff like that, theme parks. When you go for auditions and things like that, there are other people in the same line waiting for auditions, and you're there for the same reasons, so might as well just talk to random people. And I'm still friends with a lot of them.
Hey, that's great.
Mm-hmm.
So, I have a story that I forgot to tell on the last podcast, but it's pretty cool.
Shoot, go ahead.
So, the 25th, Christmas. I had a great Christmas. I spent it with my brother in San Bernardino. It was great. We opened presents. We had some monkey bread. We listened to Jimmy Buffett's Christmas CD. It was great. You laugh, but that's like a family tradition.
Well, you are from Florida originally, right?
Yeah, that's
Oh,
true.
you're
Yeah.
Well, technically, originally I'm from Virginia. Then I moved to Florida, and now I'm here.
I've got
Florida's
folks in
God.
Gulf Shores, which is basically Florida, and that's their Christmas tradition too.
Really? Jimmy Buffett Christmas?
Yeah, and then we all go to Lulu's whenever we're there. So
Oh, awesome.
yeah, it's a good place.
So anyways, it was great, and I was coming back home, and San Bernardino is about an hour and a half away from where I live. Then I get this call in my fancy car phone, and so I answered it, and they're like, "Hi, this is Officer So-and-so. Do you know a girl named Megan?" And I'm like, "Yeah, she's my roommate." And they're like, "Okay, you need to come to your apartment now."
Oh, God.
And yeah, so I went to my apartment to find out that they kicked open the door And I was
Who's
like,
they?
the police.
What?
The police kicked open my door, and I was like, hey, why'd you do that? They said, your roommate's missing. And I'm like, oh,
What?
Oh, shit.
okay. Well, she's been gone for about a week, so I suppose that makes sense. But this has happened before. She's been gone before. Not for this long, but for a few days. And I figured I would call it in after Christmas.
Plus, it's the holiday season, so you don't know if she just went to go see
Yeah.
family and didn't say anything.
Exactly. We don't have the best communication. So, anyways, I'm like, well, my door's kicked in. What do you want me to do? And they're like, oh, just call this number and the city will pay for it. And I said, cool. And so eventually, 3 days later, we found my roommate. She was in a hospital. And, like, thankfully, she was all right. She was all right.
God.
So then we got the door fixed. Everything's fine. She's perfectly safe. I was freaking out for a couple of days, but she's there. She's safe. But now my landlord's like, we're going to have to take legal action because you made us buy a door.
What?
Yeah, that's what they got from this whole situation.
That's not the city.
Yeah, my landlord bought the door, and I'm like, well, did you talk to the number? They're like, we tried, but we couldn't get it. And I'm like, okay, well, obviously you didn't try very hard. And they're like, we're going to have to take legal action.
Oh,
and I'm like, try me, brah, try me.
Legal action against you, personally?
Yeah, legal action against me for making them pay for a door.
Wow.
It's like they didn't want to do their job or something.
Yeah, it's like they don't want to take the extra step. I know that's a terrible thing to take away from this entire experience, considering my roommate was missing for about a week. But that's what's bugging me right now, this flipping door scenario.
I understand considering that you also rent the apartment, but I would think that they would be angrier at her and taking legal action against her for being missing and being the cause of the police to knock down the door. You had nothing to do with it.
No, it was legal action against us because we both live there. And I'm like, why take legal action? I'm sure we could straighten this out with a phone call. So that's to be continued.
Well,
That's to be continued.
worst case scenario.
Thankfully, my roommate's all right.
Yeah.
That's the important part of this scenario. I forgot to mention this on the last podcast. This was a pretty big story that ate up a good week of my life, and I had no idea what I needed to be doing.
Good lord.
And I forgot to mention it.
Well, good luck to you. I hope that the legal action doesn't go anywhere badly. I think worst case scenario, you just have to pay for a door or get your roommate to pay for the door. I think then your landlords will piss off, right?
I hope so. I need to find a new place to live soon. Just like this and a couple of other things. I'm like, they shouldn't be harassing us over petty bullshit like this. This has happened before with rent. My landlord was like, I texted Megan and said I'll be here this day. And I looked at his phone. It just said under Megan's name, message not sent. And I'm like, hey, you ding-do, did you look at your phone?
Oh, God. So he's petty and he can't use a cell phone.
Exactly.
That's a double whammy of dumb.
double whammy. If he tries to cheap us out of any weird deals, that'll be the trifecta.
Hat trick.
Well, in that case, couldn't you take legal action against him? I know it'd be
I mean, do you want to pay for that?
sticky.
Yeah, I don't want to pay for legal action. I'll just be like, look, dog, here's the
I
scenario.
hope you call him dog.
Look, landlord, dog.
Can I just imagine your landlord as a dog, just on two legs?
Sure, I'm like, heel, dog, heel. Anyways, that's what I think of my landlord. I hope he's not a big adult head. Yeah, those are my fans, my adult heads. And
So
That is not what we
also
call you.
another Jimmy Buffett reference.
what?
Because Jimmy Buffett fans are parrot heads.
Are they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you not know this?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not a huge Jimmy Buffett fan. We just listen to
listen
him
to
every
Christmas.
Christmas. We just listen to his Christmas album. That doesn't mean we're fans of him.
You're a sham.
Your life is a lie.
What about Radiohead fans? Are Radiohead fans Radioheads?
Radiohead heads?
Oh no, maybe.
Oh dear.
Sounds like an
I just
Urban Dictionary
assumed
thing.
everyone who's a fan of something is a blank head. I think Joe Rogan fans are like Rogan heads.
Well, Grateful Dead or Deadheads.
That's
oh,
true.
okay, that's true. I assume fans of Almost Adults would be called adult heads.
I don't like that name.
Actually, no. Fans of Gage are adult heads, and fans of John Claude are almost heads.
They're not even all the way heads.
They're not all the way heads. They're just almost heads.
Jeez.
Yeah,
They're like
that's-
fetal skulls. They're growing.
Oh God, he's taking it.
These tiny little heads
Taking
on
it with him.
normal adult bodies.
I'll have you know, almost
That's
adult
Zika
fans,
virus.
that is not how I think of you. I don't think of you all as just tiny fetal skulls with headphones.
Yeah, you're talking about how on a previous podcast since you got your master's degree, you feel so much superior than everyone else because you're like, oh, I'm going to med school.
That is not what I said
Let
whatsoever.
Jean-Claude follow his dreams.
I just don't want him to hurt anyone's of our fans' feelings.
No, I just said those individuals with levels of like education who have had being educated, they start to see things differently and think about things differently.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah,
That makes sense.
I never said that I personally am superior to anyone. I mean, if that's how it came across, then I apologize. That was not my intent.
No, you didn't. It's just me being a general asshole.
Anyways,
I'm sorry. We have two guests in the studio. We have Rachel and Stacy. Let's start with Rachel.
Ugh.
She is recently getting into, I don't want to say recently, because you've been doing this for about a year.
It's been 2 years now.
2
actually.
years, 2 years,
now.
yeah. She's been building puppets ever since.
Yeah.
And this is actually a subject I've wanted to talk about for quite some time.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Oh.
no, because like I'm a huge fan of like Muppets, Sesame Street, and recently I've been getting into Fraggle Rock a little bit more.
Nice. It's a good show.
Yeah, Fraggle Rock's an excellent show. And they might be doing a movie with Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Really?
Yeah.
Like CGI or like actual
No,
puppets?
like real puppets.
Oh my gosh, like Jim Henson Company maybe?
Yeah, like the Jason Segel Muppet movie.
I would dig
With
it.
Fraggle Rock and
I would dig
Joseph
it.
Gordon-Levitt.
But that means probably Disney.
Yeah,
'Cause they have
of
the
course
rights
that would
and
fall
stuff.
under Disney.
I mean,
yeah.
it wouldn't be so bad though.
No.
It might question the intention of the original Fraggle Rock because that was the whole
Yeah.
point was like to connect everybody. But I mean, Disney's such a conglomerate; they'll connect everybody because they own everybody.
Yeah,
pretty
that's
much.
true.
So it still works.
What do you think would be the worst company to own Fraggle Rock?
Me? Oh
yeah,
God.
Personally, I would
Probably
say
Fox
Sony.
News.
Fox News? Oh, okay.
Probably like MTV because they would completely miss the point.
MTV.
Unless they went back to old weird animation.
Yeah, but I don't know.
for
I don't
that, but it
I
wouldn't
don't
fit
trust them.
Fraggle Rock.
Yeah, I don't trust them.
I actually watched a puppet show long ago on MTV. I was
Really?
probably way too young to watch it, but it was called Syphil and Ollie.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yay, I'm not the only one that remembers
Yes.
that show. You should not have been watching that
No, you
show.
should not have been. No.
They were sock puppets and they were foul-mouthed
Twas
and all
inappropriate.
sorts of craziness happened.
True.
Whoa, it's like a South Park, but with puppets.
Before there was a South Park, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my God! They said their 20th anniversary.
Yeah, South Park is damn old. And considering how old they are, they're still relatively really funny.
Right. I worked at Comic-Con. I worked on their panel. I think it was Matt Stone because he voices Randy Marsh. During the panel, he was like, the weirdest thing was that when I voiced Randy Marsh, I always thought of my dad. He's like, that's who I was playing. He's like, and now that I'm a dad, I realized that now I'm just myself.
he's just become
Oh my
Randy
God.
Marsh.
Exactly. He's just become his dad. I'm like, oh, that has to hurt.
He's also Lord.
Which is great.
Yeah, that's great.
That's the way to be.
By the way, Rachel has worked on like all of these weird high budget projects that like I completely forget about sometimes. Like she worked with Colin Farrell one time,
Yeah.
fan favorite of the show.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I do a mean Colin Farrell impression when I'm not sick.
It's just freelance.
Didn't
It's
you
really
have
all it
like a
is.
Colin Farrell story?
Oh, I do. Where I accidentally made fun of him because he didn't know my name.
Oh.
And then the next day and after that, he would always greet me and say, hi, Rachel. And I felt so bad because I was like, only a PA on this. It was a feature. But I went to go pick him up in an elevator and I like go outside to get him from the car and somehow him and I switcherooed. And I look back and he's in the elevator and I was like, oh, holy crap. So I like run in, get into the elevator and it's him and one of the like main producers. Who actually was a producer on the room, but they're in there, and I'm like, oh my God, I almost missed you. He's like, I know, I was looking for you everywhere. And I was like, oh yeah, I bet. And I was like, you're just really sneaky. He's like, I was calling your name everywhere. And I was like, oh yeah, I bet. What? Blonde girl, blonde girl. And he like made this face, and I was like, oh no. I was like convinced I was gonna be fired the next day because I actually made fun of him. But then the next day, I like came by him, and I was like, hey, good morning, Colin. He was like, good morning, Rachel. And like looked down and like took off, and I was like, oh. He's still sweet.
It's a great story, and it's one of my favorite movies of the years. I don't want to say sequels, but it's the director's next project.
Yeah, that's what it is.
For The Lobster.
Yeah, Yorgos. I forget his last name. It's too complicated.
Lobster. That's amazing, by the way.
Thanks.
Thanks.
That's just freelance for you. You just kind of fall into stuff. And I mean, and being in LA, there's just so many options. That was in my hometown,
true.
Cincinnati, but still.
I like that Ohio's getting a lot more stuff.
It's that film tax incentive. It does.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
doing wonders. Us and Cleveland. It's been really great for
I've
everybody.
got a friend in Atlanta. They're like, I'm never coming to LA. I can just stay in Atlanta.
Yeah, if
And
you
I'm
can
like,
get in Atlanta, there's no reason for you to move. You just have to be able to get in.
Yes.
Anywho.
Anywho, yeah, we went off on like famous people stories. You just like casually bump into famous people. Well, I just kind of
just
sit
one-
around in my sound booth, scratch my ish.
I get paid too.
You
so it's
gotta
not like-
get out there with us.
Gotta get out there.
Start PAing, you'll run into.
I
a
would
lot
love
of
to
weird stuff.
PA. I feel like I don't do that enough.
It's fun. It's just hard to get the work because, like, it's you and hundreds of other hopefuls, you know. And I'm a little jaded at this point, anyway.
Yeah.
So
You
it's like,
look awfully
meh.
jaded, by the way.
Do I?
With your adorable smile, and you're like,
Right.
your upbeat attitude.
Right.
You are not jaded whatsoever, dude.
Optimistically jaded.
Yes.
I think it's just realistic. What?
You've got the puppets.
I've got the puppets. I have like 10 in my room right now. It's getting ridiculous.
So, with your puppet building,
Mm-hmm.
tell us how you got sort of involved in that and sort of the process that you go through building puppets.
Oh man, that's long. I guess I got started back when I graduated college. I had got a stage management degree, so I was doing an internship at the B Street Theater in Sacramento, and it's predominantly a children's theater. And we did a show that had puppets, and they were the most atrocious things I'd ever seen. They just didn't work, and I was like staring at them, and I'm like, I could do a better job. So then, purely out of spite, I bought like a $40 book about building puppets and then started to try to build one and kind of gave up on it. So then about a year later, I was unemployed. And I was like, well, I guess it's time to really build that puppet. So purely out of spite, I decided to start this new career path. And then once I started, I realized that I was actually pretty good at it. And that was the weird part. There was a strange innateness that came with it. Because I built, my first puppet was Midna from Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah, she ended up being like 4 feet tall, and I took her to OhioCon in Columbus, and it was so funny because everyone was almost like too in awe to take a picture because I was really mad because like I go to dress up to those things, and nobody would take pictures; they would just stare. And it was just so funny. People ask me where I bought it, like where I bought her, all these things, and I'm just like, oh, I made her, and everyone's like, what? It's like, I guess I'm good at this. So that's kind of how that started. Then I did that for a little bit, then moved to LA. And in January, I started taking commissions for building because I just guessed I was good enough. I still don't think I am, but I guessed I was. And I've been working consistently on commissions, and now it's next January, and I'm already got one I'm working on, another one lined up, 2 more lined up. It's growing way faster than I thought. So yeah, it's good. A process? You want to know about process?
Sure, yeah, why not?
Definitely.
Process is long. You know, it's funny, like, building a puppet, it's like you're winging it, but in the most technical way possible. Because, like, you have to measure and you have to kind of calculate what you're going to do, but you can start building and all of a sudden something just doesn't work, and you're just like, well, I'm just going to snip here because maybe it'll work. Or I'm just going to, like, look at it and maybe that'll do better. And it's fascinating how you have to kind of juxtapose between this very, like, analytical and technical style of measurement and building, and then just kind of looking at it and being like, well, I want it to do that. So then you just kind of fiddle with it, kind of hope it happens. So like when I start, I usually draw out the design on grid paper and I measure everything out just so that I have some sort of foundation to build off of. And then I usually I do like 2 test models basically. I do a test model out of craft paper. So with that, I can kind of start like solidifying the shapes that I want and kind of how I want it to look, and put in darts where like you cut a little V shape and then bring it together to kind of help bring it into like a circle. So like instead of a cylinder, you can bring it in. And then when I like kind of what I'm doing, then I'll do it out of like the green foam that you can buy at like Joann's. It's like upholstery foam. I'll buy that, and since it's cheaper, I'll just make a mock-up of that so I can trim it and adjust it and know exactly what I'm doing. And then I make another paper pattern of those, and then I go to a good foam, which is called reticulated foam, and that's just a lot sturdier. So then I use that, and then I'll have my base. So that takes probably about like 2 to 3 days to really lock down just the actual design itself. You can go to like things like Project Puppet or other ways, and they have pre-designed patterns, but I don't know. I don't enjoy the idea of a middleman. I like to do it all myself. So I build my own patterns. And then from there, I build the foam, cut out the pieces. I use contact cement to connect it because it's super strong. A lot of people use barge cement, which is like shoe glue, but it's incredibly toxic. So I haven't gone over to the realm of that just yet. And then you glue it all together and then kind of cover it. It depends on what you use. I use Antron fleece, which is known like as Muppet fleece because it pulls a lot of ways. And it has this magical ability that when you sew it, if you pick at the seam, it'll completely vanish. And I love me some Antron fleece. But I can't dye it. That's the only time I said I didn't like middlemen. That's the only time I'll have a middleman because I can't dye for shit. Tried it, hated.
Dyeing's
Terrible.
hard.
It's so black. Don't even think about it. Black's never gonna happen.
No.
It's awful. It's an awful thing. So then, yeah, you go through, you cover it, and it's mostly hand sewing. So there's a special stitch called the Jim Henson stitch, which is really just a really tight ladder stitch. I know this probably sounds like gibberish, but the beauty of the stitch is that you can do it loose, and then when you pull it, it'll almost halfway vanish. So you're already in the clear because, like, you look at a Jim Henson puppet, they cost like $30,000 a pop, and they're beautiful and they're perfect. And so, I mean, everyone aspires to that kind of style because people want Muppet-style puppets. Like, I really enjoy marionettes, and I enjoy theatrical style and hand and rod and, like, Bunraku style, but everyone wants to pay for Muppet style, so that's really what I've been kind of honing my skills at. So then after you build it, then you get to have fun with all the accessories, and the accessories can be anything, you know? I've made eyes, I've shaped eyes out of clay, I've shaped eyes out of spoons, and, like, popped them and, like, shaved them down to the right size. Like, the blessing with puppets is that anything can be a puppet, and you can use anything and it can be something. And that's kind of what makes it so great and such a clever thing, is that if you really let yourself loose, you can kind of figure out how resourceful you are. And that can honestly make a much better product when you're really just kind of going in and DIYing your way through. So you add the accessories, whether it's sewing or gluing or what have you, and I build the arm rods last. That's my thing, is I attach the head to the body last, because I always know something's going to be a little off center. So it's a perfect way to kind of balance and clean it up at the very end. And then I build arm rods, and my arm rods are a dowel rod that I drill a hole into, and then a coat hanger that I cut up. And the coat hanger's the best because it's got a little bit of bend, but it still moves well and looks great, and you just paint it black. So it's like, people think that puppets are these like intricate, high upscale things, you know, but sometimes the easiest things are stuff you can just find in your closet, which I think is such a blessing. So I guess that's kind of my process, and it takes probably about like 7 full days of work to build like a person. Like, if it gets, like, I'm building 2 robots right now, and that's complicated. It's been very complicated. They're adorable, but they're putting me through the ringer of like new experiences. So yeah, there you go.
God
Quite a
damn.
process.
That was amazing.
Yeah, it's a long process. Yeah, it's fascinating. It's a lot of fun to do, because it's like, you know, you try to find your passion, and I'll work on a puppet and it'll, like, 12 hours will have gone by, and I'm like, wait, where'd the day go? Why is it dark outside? I feel like that's like the good sign that, like, I'm in the right direction, doing the right thing, and people pay me for it. So, like,
So yeah, what's the market like for a puppeteer or a puppet maker such as yourself? Because my knowledge is pretty limited in the regard. I mean, I know of the Muppets, and I know of the old things like, what is that old prank call phone show that was all puppets, and then there's
the Crank Yankers.
Yeah.
Is it
Cranky Yankers?
Is it Crank Yankers?
It is Crank
Yeah,
Yankers.
something like
That is absolutely right. And then there's like Avenue Q and all those kind of things. So where do you usually market yourself towards?
Honestly, I've gotten all of my jobs through word of mouth. I only have an Instagram right now, so I'm doing a terrible job at having my own business.
Plug your Instagram.
My Instagram is Rachel Made Studio. Come join me. It's fun. But for the market, I moved out to LA because I work in film and TV, and because there's a huge puppet community out of here. I actually just joined the LA Puppetry Guild. I have my little pin. I paid a few bucks and I got it.
Nice.
But the community here is very inclusive, which is been really great. Like, you can really turn to anybody, because like, there are veterans that have been building for 20 years. Like, I just went to their holiday party and they gave a Lifetime Achievement Award thing to the guy who played the gopher on Caddyshack. Like, the community is small, but it's very tight. So if you can make your way in, I can market myself to like web series and to smaller scale stuff, because that's kind of the quality that I'm at, and because I don't expect as much pay. So I'm kind of at that tier, but there are people who are well above me and like who do work with Jim Henson or the Kyoto Brothers or Stupid Buddy Bros and like work with these companies. And so the market can be tough, but right now a lot of puppeteers and a lot of like articles are saying that now is like a quote unquote puppet renaissance in puppets, because they've now come back into this huge fashion. Like, it started with Avenue Q, but now they're coming back into kids shows and into theater with like Hand of God and web series. Everybody wants a puppet for their web series, but they're just picking up speed again. I think it's very cyclical, because like, you know, people who worked on Fraggle Rock and all that sort of stuff like 10 years later couldn't find a job because nobody wanted puppets. And so now it's kind of kicking back up. So now it's kind of the prime time that if you like puppets and you want to be a part of that community, now's the time, because everything's going on. It's really worthwhile. It's been kind of easy to market myself, because for once in my life, people are coming to me with work. I'm not seeking it out. So the first time that I get a random email and someone's like, I heard you build puppets from so-and-so or this or that, and I'm looking for this type, and like, what do they cost, and how long do you need? And like, people have been surprisingly accommodating, because I think that puppets are just such a fascinating thing for people that they just want it, and they're willing to do what needs to be done to get it, because there's such a commodity in this day and age. I honestly think it's because when things go badly, people turn to different things. And I mean, we're in a bit of a state right now. So I feel like people are turning to puppetry and puppets because they're such a non-threatening voice for people, which is what I think is so great. Like, you know, a person can look at you and say, screw off, and you'll be like, well, that was rude. But, you know, if a puppet looks at you and says, screw off, you're like, huh, okay.
That puppet
You're not
just
wrong.
said screw off.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
amazing.
Exactly. So I guess I tangented a little bit. But yeah, I guess the market's very open right now and very willing for new people, because there is so much work, which has been nice.
Also, one of the questions I had earlier, you referred to one of your puppets as It's. and then you quickly backed down and said he or she.
Did I?
Yeah. No, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. I was just curious what your thought process of that was.
Gosh, it's funny how it's gonna sound really weird. It's okay because I talk to them. I talk to my puppets all the time. Like, they're there, I mean, I'll talk shit about them to them and then apologize. But it's a whole different mentality. If it's gonna be a male, then yeah, it's a he. But like the puppets, like the robots, I don't know, so they're an it. But I get very attached to the characters that I've built because I have some very personal ones that are just for me. And yeah, they're basically just like little buds. It's like there's a book that I own that's great. It's called Make Art, Make Money. And it's a woman, I forget her name, but she wrote this book about Jim Henson's like life and how he built basically his empire. It's a great book. Great read if you are a small business and want to make a business. They have great tips. In the story, there's two types of puppeteers. There are people who are very precious with them and people who only see them as props. So in the story, Jim Henson actually only treated them as props. He never thought he was actually going to do puppets, according to this book. They just kind of met his need of artistic fulfillment and he just pushed forward with them. So in the story, I forget what the other puppeteers, it's going to be a bad story then. But this puppeteer's like doing his thing in the workshop and Jim Henson comes in and he wanted to get something. But Ernie, the Sesame Street character, was in front of that. Jim Henson proceeds to push this puppet out of the way and onto the floor. And the other person was like, oh my God, and like ran over and like cradled him.
Aww.
And so it's like, it's that kind of idea of how precious they are. Because it's like, I'm very protective of my puppets, but it's because I've labored and put so much work into them that I know, it's gonna sound strange, I know who they are and I know what they are. But it's like the very first commission I did a music video for some YouTuber and I almost died because I had this puppet and she was too weak to work it to begin with. And then, I did it fine through rehearsal. She couldn't work
Like
it.
physically too
Like
weak?
she was a wisp of a human. But yeah, because like I was doing it great in rehearsal and then they handed off to her to do it and she just couldn't do it. And everyone was like, wait, what? But throughout that process, she tried to drop my puppet on the ground 3 times. And I remember every single moment because I basically had to like baseball dive to catch this puppet. And that
Oh no.
was when I realized these are precious. Well, and also it was of her. And I'm like, do you want to look like shit? Because this puppet's you. And if you make this puppet look like shit, you look like shit. Because people are going to see you in her.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so it's...
Secretly a voodoo doll.
Yeah, right. That's the thing. It's like, that's the kind of the funny thing is like, it's people at varying levels of how precious things are to them. But when you're able to like get in there and actually build something and actually create your own being, it's a very special relationship that you build, that being able to use your hands, and especially in this day and age, it becomes such a precious, tangible thing that like you can hug and you can hold and you can look into the eyes of, and it's looking back. It's just this nice kind of thing. So yeah, so I guess they're pretty precious and they do become little people to me.
Well, you put time and love into every stitch.
It's like they're my reality. That's what's so cool about puppetry is like you can think up something, but then you can actually make it. A lot of people love escapism and love running away and hiding in virtual things and all that. And I'm just like, why? What's the point? You can make your own reality. Like, if I think of this funny blue monster, then I can make this funny blue monster, and then I just have it. And like my reality becomes what I've been dreaming of. And it's really awesome.
Sounds like it, man.
It's really awesome.
I want to make some chainmail for your puppets.
I'll take it. I'll make you you want a little knight?
Yes.
Let's put a flower crown on the knight, and then he'll
Chainmail.
be...
Yeah. Chainmail night.
Be knight flower crown.
Yeah.
Yes.
Stacy makes flower crowns, by the way.
They're the bomb.
They're great, yeah. I wore one of them, and I looked super fly for a white guy.
Yes. It takes a real person to rock a flower crown.
That's true.
But you can do it.
Oh, thanks, man.
I think the last time that I saw some really good flower crowns was they were putting on a Shakespeare play. It was the play, have you guys seen the Dead Poet Society?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, obviously. So what is the name of the Shakespearean play that the boy goes in and he's like the main character in? Is like a midnight, summer...
Oh, it's a Midsummer Night Dream.
Yeah.
Theater kid.
I went and saw a showing of that, but it was in Tallahassee, and it was on this big grass amphitheater thing. It was so cool.
Oh, great.
And the way they did it was, as most Shakespeare things are these days, it was kind of a weird twist on a Shakespearean play, where they had taken that and put a like 70s twist on it. So everyone was coming around, they were wearing like crazy flowing disco stuff, and it was very cool. But during the intermissions, if you went behind the amphitheater, there were all these vendors that were selling these different flower things and flower crowns and cool just little artistry things. And my girlfriend at the time had bought a really nice flower crown. And they were expensive. They are intricate pieces of artwork, and they deserve to be paid that much for it. It was very, very cool. So I have a lot of respect for what you do.
Yeah, you hear that, basic ass bitches? Don't have one on Snapchat. Get one in real life.
Oh, that's true. The Snapchat filter that everyone uses these days, a flower crown.
Everyone uses the flower crown and the dog one.
Yeah.
And if you look on Tinder, I'm sorry, I hate to go to Tinder for this, but like if you see a girl with like flower crown or a dog thing, you swipe left on that bitch. Know what I'm saying?
God, I'm so bad at that stuff.
I'm terrible at Snapchat. I tried to declare Snapchat as a dead app, and I got murdered for
Yeah,
it.
'cause it's
Yeah,
not.
it's not.
No,
It's only gotten
apparently, yeah,
bigger.
I know it. I know that now.
14-year-olds know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude. But here's the thing. So cats don't like to wear flower crowns. And you can use
Gee,
them
how do you
for
know that, Stacy?
Who knew?
I have a really pretty cat, okay?
I respect
She's in
that.
a lot of Instagram photos.
Yeah, I
Yes.
saw.
But you can trick the app into thinking
Oh, it's a face.
that her face is an actual human face.
Nice.
If you switch it fast enough. So I can put Snapchat filters on my cat.
Wow.
That seems to be the best use of Snapchat filters.
I'm expressing myself artistically, Gage. I don't like you judging me.
No, I'm saying people who are trying to get a date and has a flower crown or a dog face probably should reevaluate their lives a little bit. What you're doing is fine. You're doing it for a goof and a gaff and some maybe artistic merits.
Basically, Gage isn't your type.
Unless those women identify as like a wood nymph or a dog, then it's perfectly
jeez.
okay.
Oh no! You really want to?
What are they? What are they, like a doggy cunt or what is that?
Oh my
business?
god!
I never said that I was after that.
What?
We don't want to go into other kin stuff.
Other
okay?
kid, yeah, that stuff.
I was in high school when I first heard about that, and I was like, "Ugh."
Wait, what is this?
If I could identify as a squirrel, that'd be pretty rad.
I mean, I love Squirrel Girl, so
Oh, right.
I
Yeah.
would love to be just
Did
like
you
a
hear
beautiful
Anna
Squirrel
Kendrick
Girl.
might play Squirrel Girl?
I did.
I would love that.
I'm with it. I think I'm more just jealous that I can't beat her, so I'm gonna be bitter about whoever gets it.
But we can cosplay her and it'd be adorable.
Finally, it's all come around. So for the longest time, I think every white male, and I guess any male in general that just sees Spider-Man on the big TV, or well, big TV, what am I saying, big screen, they're like,
TV.
oh man, I'm just sad that I can't play Spider-Man, because every white guy or every just lanky dude, nerdy guy identifies with Spider-Man and thinks that he can play Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Now it's Squirrel Girl for girls. They have someone that they can
For
just
real.
like
Yes.
imprint on. It's good.
Right?
That's good. Yeah.
That's also because
She
of
has
all
a-
the other stuff. We've been really let down for a feminine superhero.
Dude.
It's
Dude,
true.
I'm looking forward to Captain Marvel, dude. She's going to be like
That's Brie
Captain,
Larson, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Brie Larson is
I'm
going to
down.
play.
I dig it.
For listeners who don't know, Brie Larson is going to play Captain Marvel, and Captain Marvel is basically like the Superman of DC Universe.
bomb.
Yeah, she's like a cosmic, like super strength, flying around kind of gal. And originally she was Miss Marvel, but then people were like, you know what, she should just be Captain. And so now she's Captain Marvel.
Isn't the new Miss Marvel the Middle Eastern girl?
Yeah, I
Oh,
believe
you're
so.
right.
The older one
You're
became
right.
Captain Marvel? I think that's how it goes.
Yeah, I believe that's how it goes.
Yeah.
Where's Kat when you need her?
I don't know, but which is
Like a
cool
sorority.
because if they name her Captain Marvel, then there's the possibility of a Kamala Khan appearance in future. Then we have like an actual Miss Marvel thing.
Ooh,
Get
that
everybody's
is
hopes
true.
up.
And then you have, you know, ethnicity being represented, just like in Rogue One, everyone's going crazy about the Mexican guys. Great.
Yeah.
Representation.
By the way, I saw
It's
Rogue
beautiful.
I saw Rogue One recently. I can't remember a single character that wasn't Jyn Erso. I can't remember a single one.
So I don't really remember a lot of names, but I remember characters and kind of a little bit of a trope.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
maybe Donnie Yen, but I just see him as
Dude, he
Donnie
was so
Yen.
good. And then there's also Salty Robot.
And
I
Salty
love
Robot,
Salty
yeah.
I love everybody talking about Salty Robot.
If you didn't know, Salty Robot was also in Firefly as Wash, and he was also in Moana as the chicken Hey Hey.
Yes.
He's had quite the
Tudor?
colorful career.
What is it,
Saying
really?
Ryan Tudor, or what's his name?
Alan Tudyk.
Alan Tudyk. Goddamn.
Alan Tudyk, yeah.
That
He
guy.
played the chicken in Moana. He played
did.
the pilot in Firefly / Serenity. And he also played the robot.
Several more.
I know
bunch.
there's several more. He's done a lot. He was Steve the Pirate,
Yeah, I
too,
was gonna
in
say Steve the
Dodgeball.
Pirate.
Yes, he's Steve
My
the Fire in
favorite.
Dodgeball. He's Duke of Wesselton in Frozen, and then
He's the best.
the Duke Weaselton
Yeah.
in Zootopia, and he's also King Candy / Turbo. Many
And
more.
Wreck-It
This
Ralph.
man has an amazing voice, and
He's got
he's
a
so
great
versatile.
Oh, did you see what Mark Hamill started to do? He's taken Trump tweets and he's spoken them out loud
Oh,
as
it's
the
bad.
Joker.
It's bad. It's great.
It's the best.
It fits
Such a
a
good
little too well.
It does. That's such a sad thing.
It's such a sad thing.
But it feels better when it's Mark Hamill saying
Yeah.
it.
Right.
Because you know it's a character.
Yes, and he's threatened to retire that voice for years now, and every time I hear it, I just get kind of giddy because he
Right.
was my
One
first
more
Joker.
push.
But also, what's his name? I'm sorry that I forget his name. The voice actor for Zap Brannigan in Futurama has been doing a lot of Trump quotes.
Yes,
It's a West.
Billy
It is
West.
Billy
Billy
West.
West,
That's
yeah.
what it
Yeah.
is.
West.
Yep, he's been doing Trump quotes for a little while too.
And that voice is actually based
He's the
on...
red M&M.
And J.K. Simmons is the yellow M&M.
Is J.K. Simmons the yellow
He
M&M?
totally is the yellow.
That man has really gotten into voice acting.
Oh my god, yeah.
Voice acting is where it's at, you guys.
Yeah. We should have a voice acting podcast.
He's very quiet on set.
We should.
We should,
I
yeah.
would totally be on.
We gotta bring Mick, we gotta bring Stacy, because Stacy does some great voices.
No.
Stacy, do a voice for us.
Why would you ask me to do that?
Okay, I won't.
I will not be attending.
Rachel, you can get the heck out of this sound
I will
booth.
leave. I build them. I don't.
You're
Yeah.
welcome
Voice
to be
them
here
in.
anytime you want.
Thank you.
Yeah. Stacy, we haven't really talked about your Drunk Geek Girls podcast.
Yeah.
So why don't you talk a little about that? Yeah?
Oh yeah. It's fun stuff. Basically, my friend Hope and I will get drunk from time to time, and we'll watch bad movies because I adore bad movies.
Oh, me
And-
too, man.
All sorts of cult classics, and I'm always trying to educate people on cult film. And so I'm like, you know what? We should just do this as a YouTube channel. And she's like, I'm in for that. Let's get drunk.
Oh, by the way, you work for a cult film director,
Yes, I do.
Lloyd Kaufman.
Yes, I
Directed the Toxic Avenger.
Yes. Fun fact, we were talking about Trey Parker and Matt Stone earlier. He actually is the one who distributed Cannibal the Musical, which was their college.
No way.
Yeah, they are both ridiculously awesome people.
That's awesome.
And they usually come up to the booth or they'll give us like Cannibal merch to sell.
Really?
I do all the...
Yeah, they're nice folks.
Oh, they're so good. I can talk to them forever about Orgasmo because it's such an underrated film. Which, Lloyd and his many cameos, that man, oh my god.
Yeah, Lloyd
so
Kaufman
funny.
was also in Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yes.
Who was
He was one of the inmates.
Oh,
while
he's
they're
just in there?
prison. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's just sort of in there.
like
Like him and
Burson
James Gunn are like good friends, right?
Yeah, well,
hilarious.
James Gunn, one of his first gigs was writing and helping with Romeo and Juliet. So he is also a super good guy and will
awesome.
come by. Like, we got video one year from Dragon Con, which is a show that Lloyd goes to every year, and it's a really hilariously fun con in Atlanta, Georgia.
Right.
It's like the Comic Con of the South.
Yeah.
And it's Labor Day weekend. It's a drunk free-for-all, but it's amazing. And they had a trauma panel, and they'd advertised that James would be there. The line wrapped around the block, which is basically unheard of
Oh wow.
for us.
That's
Yeah.
amazing. How cool.
Oh, it's so
Yeah,
fun.
so cool. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to get sidetracked off your professional work.
That's a
Oh,
cool
it's
topic.
cool. I love trauma and all
You two
we get
know
to do.
such cool people, but I know such cool people, which is you guys.
Aww.
He's lying.
Yeah. By the way, that's dirt line right there. It's called pandering, my friends.
Called
Right into the hand.
Right to the hand. But yeah, talk a little bit about more of Drunk Geek Girls, where you kind of view where the series is taking place. By the way, this is on Pipe Dream Podcasts,
Yes.
which is where Almost Adults is.
Nice.
Thank You Internet and the Weird Alphabet.
Well, originally, Hope and I were going to do like a YouTube channel. We thought it would be more cohesive, which kind of for a lot of films might be. That's still on the table, definitely. But I can't edit very well, and I'm not that great at shooting film. So I'm still practicing. So in the meantime, I was like, well, maybe we could do a podcast. So I took David aside and he's like, well, yeah, I've been wanting you to do a podcast for a while, Stacey. And I'm like,
Also,
good job telling me.
Also,
be ready.
Stacy, if you ever need help with editing, I got all this equipment right here. That
Yes.
I would love to help you guys out any way
It's a
possible.
good little room.
Would you be my audio sensei?
Sure. Yeah, why not? Just
Yeah.
Senpai will notice me.
I was gonna say, it's like, nice.
But now, Hope and I just get together and shoot a couple of episodes and we watch really bad movies or
beautiful.
just cult films that people forget about and get drunk and we record our reactions and then do like short reviews of it.
and if
Yes.
that's what Christmas isn't all about, then I don't know what
I
is.
don't know what is. I suffered through B movie for you guys. It's coming.
Yay!
Oh no.
B-movie.
That's horrifying, man.
I thought B-movie wasn't too bad, dude.
I've never seen it, but I'm
I
like,
saw it back in
scared to.
2007, but that being said,
Well, When I worked at a theater, I saw the first 6 minutes because we'd put it on for kids during the summer.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what's up with this weird Jerry Seinfeld movie about bees or whatever?
Not in Jerry Seinfeld's a bee.
Yeah, I didn't
Not
put
bothered,
that together.
like
I'm
Renee
like,
Zellweger.
maybe he's narrating. I had no idea that, like, he falls in love with human lady and they...
With Renee
Whoa.
Yeah.
Spoilers.
Spoilers.
Spoilers, there's a hilarious fan theory
Oh, dear.
about who their child
Oh
is.
dear, oh dear, oh dear,
Oh,
oh
no.
dear.
Well, who's their child? I want to know.
Yeah, wait.
If you guys have ever seen iCarly...
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, yes. I do know this fan
Freddie?
theory.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Freddie?
Yeah, and
So the actor has totally been like, oh, guys, you got me. Which he is really nice.
He's beautiful, too.
He's very
already-
sweet. I did promos with him for Sam and Cat, so
Really?
he's a sweetheart.
Oh.
I feel like Nickelodeon stars would be not as nice as one would expect.
I guess they teach them early on that they need to be polite to crew, but we were on really short days because all we did was promotional material.
Oh,
for
so of
them.
course he's in a
Oh.
good mood. It's not
Yeah.
14 hours later.
Right.
No,
yeah.
I think my longest day was 10 hours, and that on a set is amazing.
It's the best. Yeah.
All right. Well, I hate to do this, but one, this sound booth is excruciating hot.
That's
With
so
Rachel and
hard.
Stacey, it's getting hot in here.
Yeah.
And let's get some final thoughts. John Claude, let's start with you since you didn't really talk too much this episode.
I didn't know. I kind of let you guys take the handle. That was cool. I would like to touch back upon the puppetry and breathing life into things that are generally inanimate. And if you have the skills or want to kind of pursue a cool, interesting art form where you can breathe life into something that's not even there, like puppetry or animation, it's just seeing something of your own creation move, walk, and talk and do stuff like that. It's a feeling that not many other people know about. It's kind of like having your own kid without having to pay for it.
Well, you still pay for
Well,
it.
you still pay for it, but not with 20 years of your life, if not more.
It's true.
By the way, John Claude, I've been looking at your Instagram. Follow John Claude's Instagram at Premium Muffin Mix.
It might just be Pea Muffin Mix. I don't know. Let me double check.
No, P Muffin Mix is your Twitter.
Okay, well, thank you for keeping me on track.
Yeah. No, you've been doing some really cool anatomy stuff on there.
I have.
Ooh.
I've been really trying to
Yeah.
get better at fundamentals in general. So
It's showing, man. It's showing.
thank you.
You're putting a lot of hard work in there. Final thoughts, Rachel.
What am I supposed to say?
Just say your concluding thoughts on the matter. Or you can say something really goofy like I usually do.
Oh, God.
If you took anything
I don't
away
know.
from this podcast, or you have any words of wisdom for an audience member or something like that, just
Oh,
throw it out there.
I can do words of wisdom.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess, I don't know. I feel bad talking about myself. It's always hard to-
No, don't. We have you on this podcast to talk about yourself.
You're an awesome person.
Ah, ha, 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 ha.
Habib in yourself.
I don't know. I guess I always have that weird thing where I always end up, I'm only 25, but I keep talking to younger folks about like pursuing your dreams, which I mean, everybody talks about. Everyone's like, go for your dreams. But like, I'm going to join the party. Like, don't be scared too. Like, I'm self-taught with building puppets. I bought a $40 book and just decided to do it one day and realized I was okay at it and just kept pushing forward. So, I mean, I don't know, if you care about something enough, like, that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. That's why Stacey's doing what she's doing. That's why Gage is doing what he's doing, and John Claude included. Like, it's just, I guess, don't be afraid of that kind of stuff, because I keep running into people who are just scared. When I went home to Cincinnati, you know, everyone thinks you're cool as shit 'cause you live in LA. Paying rent is still hard, people. Like, I don't think it's that cool. But I had two different friends say, I'm so envious of you because you asked for what you want. And I'd never thought about that before. Because it's true. It's like, I'm in the puppet community now because I watched people that I liked. I found a way to get a hold of them, and then I did it. Was anxiety there? Absolutely. But like my best puppet friends I have now, I went to a puppet festival because I knew they were going to be there. I watched them for an hour because I was so stressed out and nervous to go and talk to them. And finally, I called my mom in tears.
Aww.
And my mom was like, you have to do it. It's too bad. I was like, okay, Mom. So I went over and introduced myself, and now I have this amazing group of friends that has really projected me into the community. It has really allowed me to kind of expand. So it's like, don't be afraid to ask for what you want. And also don't be afraid to ask for help. That's what veterans are for. People who have been through it are for. Like, don't be afraid to go for it and ask for it, because it's the only way you're going to get it. With Michael being like, yo, I've been wanting you to do a podcast. And you're like, why don't you tell me? Tell people. Because they'll never know unless you tell them.
Yes.
And that's what'll make all the difference. That's all I got.
Dude, that's awesome.
Inspiration.
That's that's better than 90% of the final thoughts I've had.
That's all I got.
All right, Stacey, shoot your final thoughts into the microphone.
I'm kind of going to build on Rachel's. Another thing is, I know it's not natural for a lot of people, but you need to be able to have the self-confidence in yourself.
Amen.
For me, that's a huge thing. I don't have a lot of that self-confidence stuff.
Right.
And people are like, oh, but it comes to you naturally. And I'm like, no, I am faking it till I make it. And now I have some of those skills, yes, but I find it really hard to say, oh, yes, I've done this, this, and this. Like, I've been taught from a really young age that that's bragging and that's being prideful, and you should always be careful about that. So it's okay to be proud of yourself as long as you don't take it too far and be rude to other people for it.
Yeah,
But
don't belittle others for it.
I know this is getting like Oprah-esque, but you have to believe in yourself, or those things that you want are gonna happen. Like, I'm older than a lot of people out here, but I still don't quite know what I'm doing. But I'm out here and I'm trying all the things till I figure it out, and I'm having a good time and learning a lot of stuff in the process. So
Yeah, everyone always assumes they have to know what they're doing all the time, and it's like, it's okay to be unclear. That's why it's why you move. It's why you go places. You just try.
Yeah.
You just have to try things, and that's when you'll find it. So I feel you. I'm with you. I got
That's
you,
why
sister.
we're friends.
That's why we're friends.
God, now my final thoughts is going to seem like shit compared to everyone else's.
We went all deep and like beautiful.
God, I was going to go something goofy like, feed your pets twice a day. Now I have...
Should.
I mean, it is.
Yeah, just feed
That's
your pets
important.
twice a day. That's the way they won't meow in your face at 4 o'clock in the morning. They won't headbutt you
Headbutt
while
you
you're trying to
wrong.
sleep.
And keep a tracking
And-
collar on your roommates.
Keep a tracking collar on your roommates.
The most
Feed your
important
roommates
part.
twice a day.
Yes. Make sure they have water.
Make sure they have enough water. Take them out for a walk if you can.
Yes.
Just get a hamster wheel.
And yeah, get a hamster wheel for them.
Have you seen the hamster wheels for cats? They're amazing.
Oh,
Oh, I have a YouTube video to show you guys.
beautiful.
We'll link that YouTube video in the description. Thank you so much for coming to the Almost Adults podcast. I've been Gage. She's been...
Stacey Krakus.
She's been...
Rachel Burson.
He's been...
Hi.
Good night.
I've been Jean-Claude. Thanks for listening.